We've spent a good amount of time on the Patriots. We'll have plenty of time to dig in a little bit more. But I do want to make sure I move towards MLB spring training. We've seen a lot of the exciting Red Sox prospects. I don't know that we've seen a lot from the exciting Red Sox prospects,
There's
if
like
that
Christian
makes any sense.
Campbell.
Yeah. But I want to kind of pose, a question to you all because we have been really Red Sox centric in our attentions. But I wanted to take a step back and look at the Yankees because obviously any conversation of the Red Sox involves the Yankees and vice versa. And I know it seems silly. One team is coming off a World Series run, the other team was coming off a 500 season. But the question I have is based on where the roster is, where the health is. Are the Red Sox in a better position than the Yankees right now today?
Yes, 1000%. Um,
I'm glad I'm not the only person who feels that way.
yeah, I honestly think the Yankees are a bit of a disaster. I think the Yankees have lipstick on a pig right now. Um, they they have no help coming pitching wise. So every year they end up with a decimated rotation and they've thrown a bunch of money at someone like Carlos Rodon, who is unpredictable and historically tumultuous. Marcus Stroman, another good example. And they have so many bad contracts for position players. So, like, first of all, they don't know who their third baseman is going to be this year. It should be DJ LeMahieu, but they have their wagon hitched to him through, I think, next year, and he is just completely cooked because of a degenerative foot issue. And then we're really not that far away from a period of time where probably Stanton and Judge are under contract and only capable of being designated hitters. Um, and frankly, like their only way to really build right now, because they have so much trouble with homegrown players, is through free agency. And so they don't really have a sustainable plan long term. Like the only real, like Jason Dominguez, I think he'll be a legitimate, like real deal. The flashes that we saw before he got hurt in 2023 were great. Like, that's fine, but he won't be a generational talent or anything like that. And then there's Spencer Jones, who's the next biggest thing that they're supposed to have, who is a power hitting outfielder. So there's no help coming. They constantly have to patch holes through free agency. So I, as a Red Sox person, would think that like you have much more of a sustaining system there to where you can. I mean, this offseason was a perfect example. They have plenty of young guys that they seem to trust, and they filled in the gaps with guys like Walker Bueller. You trade for Crochet, you sign Bregman, things like that. But I feel like the Yankees are just going to be chasing free agents every year. And I would be concerned, especially because I think they got exposed for a lot of their flaws last year, even in a World Series run.
Which is ironic because from reports, they're one of the teams that's surprisingly pushing for a salary cap with the next collective
Yeah.
bargaining agreement. I mean, if they would be royally screwed from a competitive standpoint if there was a salary cap instituted because you're right that
Yeah.
their only way out of this right now is to spend their way out.
Yeah,
Their top five prospects, real quick. Dominguez is one, and then it's George Lombard, who hasn't played above high A, Spencer Jones, who hasn't played above double A, and Ben Hess, who's played rookie ball. And then Will Warren, who might be their fifth starter, is their fifth prospect. Like, no one is close, especially not on the mound.
yeah, and I think if we're just talking about, yeah, like, are the Red Sox in a better position? I think, like, let's just do an exercise. Let's go around the diamond, and I mean, we can sort of
Oh,
qualify
the,
this
the
any way we.
lineup, I don't think it's any question whatsoever.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
but I just
yeah.
mean, like, if we go position by position and lumping in the rotation as a whole, like if you go to each one and say which team do you feel better about, and you can sort of make it a combination of current and not long term, but future, meaning like the next 3 to 4 years or so. So like we'll just start first, or catcher, Red Sox, Connor Wong, with Carlos Navarez as the sort of the top depth option, or the Yankees with who Austin Wells and Alex Jackson.
Swanson.
Wong. I mean, I
I'd
can
probably
save
take
it.
the
I can
Yankees
save
there.
it. I think the only positions where I give the Yankees the edge is shortstop and wherever Judge ends up playing, either center or right.
Yeah, that's
I take
probably
Volpe over. I took Volpe over Story.
yeah. I think well, and
I
even then, I
yeah.
think you could argue Volpe and like if you lump in the potential promise of Marcelo Meyer, you could
I
make
get
an
you.
argument for a push there, but you probably go edge Yankees because at least Volpe's done it on the big league level. And then you're right, Judge is Judge. And maybe you give edge Yankees in the rotation, but I'd rather be as far as the ace, I'd rather be the Red Sox, given the age of Garrett Crochet compared to Garrett Cole. Max Fried is probably better, I guess, than what the Red Sox have for number
Max
two.
Fried's great.
But
Yeah,
but
the
after
top
that,
of their rotation.
Yes.
yeah,
The top of their rotation definitely outpaces the Red Sox right now, certainly in terms of pedigree, too. Like, I'm thrilled about Garrett Crochet, but we've seen him do it for 4 months.
yeah, and like first base,
And
Paul Goldschmidt or Tristan Cassis. Again, if you're asking me one at bat right now, I'm probably going Goldschmidt, but I'd rather be the Red Sox at that spot. Same thing with second base with uh, Jazz Chisholm and Christian Campbell and Alex Bregman. Like I'd rather be the Red Sox just about everywhere. And then if you break it down to the farm system, it's not close. Dominguez is the only guy the Yankees have in the top 100, and the Red Sox have 4 in the top 100. So I think across the board, the Red Sox are in a better spot. And they could be better at all those spots except for Aaron Judge relatively soon.
I mean, think about it. They had
So wait,
Rizzo,
hold
who
on.
was
One real quick thing on Tristan Casas. He he obviously opened his mouth. He got slammed for it. But one thing that I feel like didn't get enough attention was he talked about. He said taking the inside pitch and being able to hit that to left center is the Mount Rushmore for a hitter, and that's not what that term means. So I just wanted to really quick. You mentioned Casas. I just
Well,
because
there's nothing that
I
you
don't
hate more than incorrectly used idioms.
yeah, no, I don't think anyone has like raised that. So I'm sorry. I just had to before I forgot it. You mentioned Casas. I just wanted to interject that. Go ahead. Logan.
well, congrats on being the first and probably only person to give a shit about that. Um, I, I mean, you look at the Yankees. They had Rizzo last year, who was a complete mess, which was partially because his brain was jelly because they couldn't spot a concussion. But and you replace him with 37-year-old Paul Goldschmidt. I'm looking at their top prospects right now. Their number 17 prospect is a catcher first baseman combo who's only played in Double A. They've got another catcher first baseman combo who's their 13th prospect who's only in rookie ball. Like they have nobody, so they have to trade for all these positions. And we're also talking about guys who are in such low levels of the minors that we have zero idea what they're actually going to be. And so it's not a sustainable way to build a roster, especially with pitching when you have to sign all these guys to 8-year deals who are hitting free agency at 31. Like you're just going to be eating the ends of those deals. And so I have been firmly in the camp for a while that the Yankees aren't winning anything with the way they build their lineup in the first place. But like they're so dug in now on this that they have like the Judge era, the next 5 years is going to be rinse repeat of mid-30s free agents rounding out the roster. And like they're not going to win anything with that.
Now, if the Yankees went out next offseason and signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like how
Well,
much
you
do
know
you
how
think
I
that
feel
would
about
change it?
Vladdy.
I love Vladdy. I don't think that solves any of their problems. And
I
this
don't
is
either.
another
No.
thing. I was thinking, we were talking about Jason Dominguez and also watching Roman Anthony. What is it with so many players now that cannot play a position? I just think it's
No.
bonkers. You talk, oh, this guy's a can't miss prospect, and then they come up and you have Dominguez who can't catch a fly ball, and Roman Anthony, who I think it looks like a great athlete, but he's doesn't like move particularly smoothly, and I've been really surprised about that. So I feel like adding Vlad Guerrero, okay, just they're gonna add a fourth guy who now can't really play a position.
Who's going to have to be a DH one day?
Yeah, who's he's a little bit better, more valuable in that he can play third, but I don't know how long he can play third.
Well, I think part of it too is the Red Sox are so serious about positional flexibility that it's kind of a double-edged sword for them. Like, it's great that you have guys that can play a lot of different positions and move around, but On the other side of that, you end up having few players that are just truly, they lock down and look great at a position. Roman Anthony, he's moved around in all three outfield spots as he's come up. Marcelo Myers played a lot of third, played a lot of short. He's spent time at second. Ceddanne Rafaela everywhere, where it's like, I think all indications are, at least from the scouting evaluations, like Roman Anthony would be an above average left fielder pretty safely. But
Especially
they
at
probably should have
Fenway.
made that call early on instead of making him play center field throughout the minors.
I've got no issue with that, because like that saved the Red Sox. Like think about when they signed Trevor Story and they were able to just drop Trevor Story at second and not impact things with Bogarts. Like whether that was the right move or not is a different discussion. But I've got no qualms with being able to put guys anywhere as long as they have a position that like I loved Brock Holt, but you like the only place you could really put Brock Holt long term was like second base, and that's a problem. Because it was just he was confident enough everywhere, but not great enough anywhere. And so there's a point where it's like if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any. If you play 9 positions, you don't play one. But like Ceddanne Rafael is a great example. If you told me he had to be your everyday shortstop, I'd have my concerns offensively, but defensively, I'd have no issue with that. And it's the same thing with him in center field. So the variability is fine.
Logan bringing up Brock Holt, like I could tell you're just bursting at the seams to talk about Sandy Leone and Sue Wei Lin. Sue Wei Lin,
Do you see? Hold on. Do you see Sandy Leone hit a freaking nuke off the Red Sox the other day?
I did, and I think Sue Wei Lin isn't he like trying to qualify for the World Baseball Classic? Like he's still playing.
I believe so.
Those games are. Have you caught any of those games?
I haven't. No.
Holy mackerel! If you like Bad News Bears baseball, I was watching. I think it was Germany versus China the other day on like YouTube. I was watching it. Oh man, it was a lot of fun.
Hey, I just Googled Zue Lin, and the clip is from MLB.com from a week ago saying he nearly hit a grand slam playing for Taiwan.
Man. Okay.
The point I'm actually was trying to make, though, before Dakota got into, the Vladdy trades and whatnot, is that, like, can anyone name, aside from Aaron Judge, like a quality homegrown Yankee? Like this is a pervasive issue. Volpe, okay. Now apparently he's going to be the next Derek Jeter, but I've never seen him hit his weight.
I think Volpe is a useful player. I also kind of hated on him early on because there was all the Jeter comparisons. I think he's a very competent player, and
yes,
until I see Trevor Story actually stay on the field, I don't consider Trevor Story a member of the Boston Red Sox. Like he hasn't necessarily played for the team for any consistent period of time. Yeah.
Maybe this is because I always think the Rockies are nice, but like I've given Trevor Story way more passes than I would give any other player, and I have no idea why. But I repeatedly am like, this is going to be Trevor Story's year, and I'm all the way in on it. And it's just with anyone else, I would have been out on him 2 years ago.
I think I give him passes too, just because, and we talked about this a couple episodes ago. I think a lot of his injury problems fall under the umbrella of bad luck. But one last question to go back to what we were saying, like, would you rather be the Red Sox or the Yankees at each position? And this is a dead serious question. Who would you rather have at DH for this season? Giancarlo Stanton or Masataka Yoshida?
Yoshida.
Yeah, Yoshida.
First of all, I think Yoshida is going to be great this year. I'm not a Stanton guy.
Forgetting the contract, so much. but including injuries, right? Because Stanton's dealing with the elbow and Yoshida's dealing with the shoulder. So they're both definitely DHs right now. But yeah, which player would you rather have?
Yeah, I do think that the injury for Yoshida last year was a bigger deal than maybe we realized. But he should be mostly on the mend now, whereas I think Stanton's health, I think, could be that thing that turns into him not playing at all this season. If we're being totally honest,
like Jacoby Ellsbury.
It's one of those things that starts like, oh, he has to go home for personal reasons. Oh, he has to go home to get this looked at. Oh, he has to go home to get this injections. Oh, he's not gonna be with us opening day. Oh, he might be out of my. And next thing we know, it's like, all right, see you 2026.
He's exploring experimental treatments in Germany, kind of.
I almost flippantly said, like, are we even gonna see Stanton this year? And it's like, I'm glad you're on the same page, because like with the way they've been talking about it, there's a non-zero chance that Stanton just disappears this year.
Yeah, and I think just Yoshida, for whatever reason, like he just keeps getting overlooked or I think underrated. Maybe because I don't know. He's definitely an awkward roster fit for the Red Sox because he's another lefty bat. He can't play the outfield. Um, like he just doesn't fit with what they want to do. But as far as just him actually as a hitter, um, I don't know. I think people rag on him, and I don't think it's justified. I think when he's been healthy, he's been a good offensive player with like really impressive stretches. I mean, the first season
Yeah.
he was excellent until he clearly wore down, and maybe the World Baseball Classic stuff caught up with him, and he wasn't the same player down the stretch. But for long stretches of the first half, he was their best offensive player. And then last year he was hurt, right? So like, yeah, I'm
I'm
high on Yoshida as well. I just don't know how much he's actually going to play for them this year. When
I'm
he's back
glad
ready to return full time, like they're going to have a really interesting decision on their hands how they juggle that roster math because I could see him not playing, even though I think he probably should.
I'm glad you brought up the point about him wearing down because I remember one of the things that the Red Sox literally were warned about from the team he played for in Japan was that, especially when he plays in the field a lot, he will wear down and he will. I think the specific thing I saw was that you'll see his play decline before he tells you that he's too worn down. And they play a shorter season in Japan, and he did tail off at the end of the year. And then you have the injury factor last year. We have seen enough good flashes from him now that he is presumably healthy. The Red Sox should know how to handle him, especially if they're going to continue to refuse to play him in the outfield. That this would be the year. Like, I thought they moved off of Chris Sale a year early because they had already ridden through so many bad years that they might as well wait until he has a normal offseason. That's kind of how I feel about the trading Yoshida thing. It's like, this is probably the year 3 here, where this is the only chance he'll have to like recoup his value if you want to trade him. And at that point, he might finally be the bat that Heim Bloom envisioned when he signed him. You're right, the fit is clunky, but if he's going to be set and forget as a DH, like I've got no problem with that. There's enough there, especially, and contrasting to the Stanton thing, he hits for contact. He knows how to work a walk. Like he is a useful enough bat that you've got to see what you have there.
Real quick, his first season with the Red Sox through August 5th, I have it up right here. Through August 5th, he hit 307, he slashed 307, 366, 481. So 307 average, 848 OPS, 12 homers, 54 RBI, 29 walks, and just 48 strikeouts. But I mean, I'll take that. Again, like I guess it's hard as a Red Sox fan to not think DH without thinking like what David Ortiz could be, or what David Ortiz was, or what Rafael Devers could be. But I mean, I'd take that production. And then again, he tailed off at the end of the season. So, yeah, I think there's still a lot of good offense left in Yoshida if he gets the playing time.
If only there was a place to play him. Yeah, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head. Ironically, the lineup, a lineup that could really use him is the Yankees. If we're being totally honest, a left-handed hitter who can work, who can work the count and has a little bit of pop, but not just swinging from his heels the whole time. So
Short porch too. I mean,
yeah.
he'd be great. He'd
Where?
probably, he'd probably boost up to 20 something home runs there if he stayed healthy.